Hello, I'm Piggypants. Thank you to Sir Slobs for letting me share with you my Fluffal deck profile. I hope you enjoy it. Let's start with the monsters. So, first of all, we've got 3 Fluffal Dog. Fluffal Dog's a really good opener. He allows you to search a Fluffal or a Edge Imp Sabres, so that's really good to be able to complete any gaps that you've got in your hand when you open up. Next we've got 2 Fluffal Penguin. What he allows you to do is special summon another Fluffal when he's summoned. He's got a secondary effect which is much better in my opinion, which is when he's sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, you can draw 2 and discard 1, so you can start gaining some real hand advantage there. Now I've got 3 Fluffal Bear. Fluffal Bear can be discarded from hand to set a Toy Vendor, which is one of the spells that we run, which we'll see later. Toy Vendor is a really solid card, so you definitely want to be running 3 bears. We've now got 2 Fluffal Wing. Fluffal Wing's great. When he's in the graveyard, you can banish him and another Fluffal from your graveyard to draw 2 cards. Again, great hand advantage, and he also allows you to pop a Toy Vendor that you've got on field, and we'll see Toy Vendor later. That's a really great effect. Now I've got 1 Fluffal Owl, 1 Fluffal Cat, 3 Fluffal Sheep. So we're running these 3 because A, they're really cute, and B, they give you some really good toolbox functionality. What Fluffal Owl allows you to do is add a poly when he's summoned or pay 500 to fusion summon. Fluffal Sheep allows you to bounce a card on your field to special summon him and an Edge Imp card from your hand or from your graveyard. It's a really good way of recycling those Edge Imp monsters that you've used to fusion summon with. And finally, Fluffal Cat. Fluffal Cat's probably the weakest of the 3. When he's sent to the graveyard as a fusion material, it allows you to add back a poly from your grave. You probably don't need that. It is a bit of an extended play. I like to run him at 1, but it is really up to you whether you run him or not. Now we've got the Edge Imp monsters. We've got 3 Edge Imp Chains. Edge Imp monsters are generally used for the fusion summon of the Frightfur monsters in the extra deck. Chain's really good though because when he gets sent to the graveyard, he allows you to add a Frightfur card. So our Frightfur cards that we'll add are in the spells, which we'll look at later, but they're all really good, and being able to add one of those is super good for extending or really being able to get the ball rolling. Finally, for the Fluffal and Edge Imps, we've got 1 Edge Imp Sabres. Sabres is essential for the OTK monsters that we run in the extra deck. I'm only running 1 because he can summon himself back from the graveyard by placing a card from your hand on top of the deck. Also, he's really searchable with Fluffal Dog, and also, as we'll see in a bit, with Toy Vendor. So I think it's a bit annoying if he gets banned, but you can really work with that, and I think it's worth the risk. Finally, for my monsters, I've got 3 effect failures. Fluffals are a really good deck for going second, so if your opponent chooses to go first, it's nice just to be able to add a bit more disruption in as well to really mess them up. Now onto the spell cards. So we've got 3 Toy Vendor, which I've been going on and on about while I've been talking about the monsters. When Toy Vendor's sent to the graveyard, he can add a Fluffal monster or an Edge Imp Sabres, so much the same as Dog. He's also a continuous spell who once per turn you can send a monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw a card. If it's a Fluffal, you can special summon it, otherwise discard it. The secondary effect's quite good because it allows you to be able to dump the Edge Imp Chain to the graveyard and search for the Frightfur cards, and if you're lucky you can get an additional monster on the field if you draw a Fluffal, which is nice. Now I've got 3 Foolish Burial Goods. That's to send the Toy Vendor so that you can get adding those Fluffals and Sabres. It's a fusion deck, so where would we be without our 3 polys? 3 Frightfur Patchwork, which is very long awaited. This allows you to add a poly and an Edge Imp monster from your deck to your hand. You can see here we've got 3 of these and 3 polys, so you're running 6 poly cards that you can basically open. It really maximises the chance of being able to get that, to get the fusion summon off. Now we've got 2 Frightfur Fusions. What that allows you to do is that allows you to fusion summon by banishing monsters from your grave or side of the field. If you've done your poly, you've got your resources in grave. It's a really nice way of just being able to get some more monsters out and really be able to drive that OTK home. For our Frightfur cards, finally we've got 1 Frightfur Factory. That allows you to banish a poly or fusion card from your grave, and then you can basically poly. It's a really good one of, and the nice thing that we've got here with these 3 Frightfur cards is that they're all searchable by the Edge Imp Chain being sent to grave, so you've got a really good selection of what you can add depending on what you've drawn, what you have opened with, etc. Got 1 Instant Fusion, which I use for toolbox cards. It really sets up quite nicely for the going first play that I've got with Fluffals as well. Got 3 Called by the Grave. Stop disruption, stop the hand traps that your opponent's playing. Arguably you could cut this because I think Fluffals are a really good deck at being able to push through disruption, but you know, sometimes it's nice to just have that assurance on board that you can do something about it. And finally, for our main deck, we've got 1 Upstart Goblin. Why run 40 cards when you can run a much more consistent 39 card deck? Now let's have a look at our extra deck where we have our Frightfur monsters. I am running 2 Frightfur Tiger, 1 Frightfur Wolf. These guys combo really well into an OTK. They both use Edge Imp Sabres for their fusion summon. Tiger, what he does is he pops a number of cards on the field up to the number of monsters used for his fusion summon, and Wolf can attack up to the number of times equal to the number of monsters used for his fusion summon. So you can clear up the board with Tiger and then drive home that attack with Wolf to do your opponent in. I'm running 1 Frightfur Sheep. Frightfur Sheep uses Chain to fusion summon. I think he used to be a lot better. What he does is if he's destroyed by battle or card effect, he comes back with 800. He can annoy your opponent sometimes as it's quite a lot to get around, but I don't think he has a huge amount of relevance in today's Yu-Gi-Oh game. I've got 2 Frightfur Kraken. Kraken can send a monster that your opponent controls from the field to the graveyard. He can also attack twice. He's quite big as well, so 2/2. And then when he's attacked, you can move him to defense position at the end of the battle phase. He's a 3000 defense monster as well, so he can really give your opponent some grief to get over. Final Frightfur monster is Frightfur Sabretooth. So what he does is you can fusion summon him using a Frightfur monster and Fluffal Edge Imp monsters. When he's special summoned, you can special summon a Frightfur monster from your deck to your grave, from your grave to your field. So it's a really good way of getting these 2 monsters on board. You can pop the first time with Kraken, go to Sabretooth with the Kraken, bring the Kraken back, attack. It's another way of OTKing. In terms of my going first plays now, I've got 1 Shadow Winder, which we get to with Instant Fusion. It's really good if you're going first because it means that your opponent can only special summon once per turn. Ordinarily it would die at the end in the end phase. However, I am running 1 Dungyasu, which I can get to with these 2 guys who are really easy to get out, and then you can detach 1 from him to stop the Winder being destroyed by the instant fusion effect. I'm running 1 Verte Anaconda. It's pretty easy to get a load of monsters on the field and you don't necessarily need them there because of Frightfur Fusion. This really just allows you to get to those fusion cards if you haven't seen them in a more organic sense. 1000 Dice Restrict to solve any problems that come up, and 1 Predaplant Dragostapelia for going first and effect negation. That is it for my Fluffal build. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think.